What's up? Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video. In today's video we are creating a West Elm inspired frame for this very old IKEA mirror that I've had for years now and never really knew what to do with. It was just a mirror that you mounted up onto a wall with some wall brackets. I really wanted to just upcycle it and give it another life. It is pretty small at less than 16 inches wide and only about 47 inches long. For the frame of this mirror, I'm using some leftover 1/2-inch PVC pipe and 2 pieces of scrap 2x3-inch wood that will be the top and bottom. I start by cutting a groove into the PVC pipe by clamping down a piece of scrap wood onto the table just to have a brace on both sides, and I run the PVC pipe through the table saw with the saw blade up just high enough to cut through one side of the PVC pipe without going completely through the entire thing and cutting it in half. As you can see, the pipe lifted up a little bit while I was running it through the saw blade, so there is a small piece of the pipe that did not get cut in the middle, but that's okay. I can figure that out a little later on. Once that is done, I cut both pipes down to the size that I need them to be, which is around 50 inches, just to have about over an inch left to place into the grooves that I will be cutting out into the scrap pieces of wood later. After cutting down the PVC pipe, I moved on to trimming down the 2x3 pieces of wood to the exact length that I needed. Once I was done cutting all my pieces, I moved on to spraying the PVC pipe with a gold spray paint. This doesn't end up being the final color, but this is where I started. So yeah, I sprayed the PVC pipe with the gold spray paint, let that dry, and then moved on to sanding down the wood pieces. I sanded down the wood until it was smooth to the touch, and so that it would be able to take the wood stain way better. And here you can see the difference in the two between the sanded and the unsanded, and how much the natural grain of the wood shows through on the sanded piece. And here I am realizing that when I am 95% of the way done, that I should have clamped down this board while I was sanding the entire time. Moving back over to the PVC pipe, once the gold spray paint was dry, I started adding in some of this alcohol ink. I saw a technique used with this, and I thought it would be a good way to get a metal finish on these plastic PVC pipes. So I basically just put a few drops onto the pipe on top of the spray paint and stippled it with a foam brush. And although the end result did end up looking good, it just wasn't the look I was going for. I was looking for more of a brassy looking finish, and it kind of ended up looking more like a faux wood. But at this point, I wasn't sure what the final result would be, so I just kept going with it and tried to make it work. And then someone got out of school and decided to give me a helping hand. I'm painting. You want to help? Stoop down. You see yourself up here? It's too sunny? Here was one of the pipes completely finished after layering multiple colors of the alcohol ink on top of it, and the finish is really nice. It just didn't work for this frame just because the color of the stain that I am putting on the wood didn't really go with it very well. Now I'm moving on to marking off and drilling out the holes that the PVC pipe will sit in, and this is actually how the mirror will be held into the frame. So having the groove cut into the PVC pipe, then having the wood pieces be the top and bottom to cap off the ends of the PVC pipe. To do this, I marked the center, and then I left about 1.25 inches on either end, and then used a drill bit with a piece of tape at the 1 inch mark to drill out holes deep enough for the PVC pipe to sit into. Once the holes were done, I moved on to staining the wood with Varathane stain in the color Early American. I just lightly brushed on the stain and then went back with a paper towel to wipe off any excess so it doesn't seep into the wood and make it a darker color than it actually is. stain was dry, I put the wood pieces next to the PVC pipe, and you can see exactly how much the colors don't go together. So I decided to move on and take the mirror into a different direction, and I started by spraying the PVC pipe again with a black spray paint and letting that dry. Once the black spray paint was dry, you can see that there are some like splotchy parts on the pipe. That's because the pipe kept falling off of those little risers, because they're not made to hold up like circular objects. They're made to like rise up flat surfaces. But anyway, I wanted to make this look a lot like the inspo, the West Elm mirror, which has either an iron or a metal frame on the sides, and matte black clearly wasn't gonna do that. So I came up with the idea of spraying on some gray spray paint to make the black look a lot more like iron. The gray spray paint was added very sporadically, not in any specific spot, definitely not covering the whole thing. Once I was done adding on the gray spray paint, I stippled on some rub and buff in the black metallic finish, and that really made these plastic PVC pipes look like something that was more reminiscent of metal or iron. Once both the wood stain and the final color of the PVC pipes were dry, I just sprayed on a sealant of Rust-Oleum in a matte clear finish to just seal everything in. And now it's time to take all the pieces inside and put everything together. So I basically slid the PVC pipe onto the mirror by inserting the sides of the mirror into the grooves that I cut out in the pipe, and did that on both sides. Then I added a little bit of wood glue to each of the holes that I drilled out in the wood pieces, and then inserted the PVC pipe into those holes at the top and bottoms of the mirror, and we are all done. And here is the finished mirror with its new frame. Clearly not an exact dupe for the West Elm mirror. Obviously this is on a much smaller scale and not as big as the West Elm mirror would be, but if you could save over $500, why not? So let me know what you think in the comments. Would you try this with a mirror and some scrap materials you have laying around at home? That's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.